If you ever felt like you are losing games, you should be winning. You are not alone. Most players don't lose because of lack of skill. They lose because of mistakes in their thinking when the pressure is on. Recently, I have lost one of the most important games in my entire chess career, and it wasn't because my opponent outplayed me. It was because of my own mental mistakes. In this video, I'm gonna share with you exactly what went wrong and how you can avoid making the same errors. If you're tired of beating yourself, stay with me, it could change the way you approach your chess. What's up, chess player, and welcome to the Journey to Grandmaster, the place where you can improve every single aspect of your chess game. And today we talk about arguably the most important aspect of your chess game, the psychology. I want to share with you probably the most painful experience in my chess career, definitely one of them. It was so crazy. I also want to share with you 5 key lessons that I have learned from this very horrible event so that you don't repeat my mistakes. The first crucial thing happens before you even start the game, before you even make your first move. It's your mindset coming to the game. It's already a big part of success. So what I want you to do is to have a clear goal when you're coming to the game. I have 3 options for you here. The first one is you are coming to a game and you want to win it. You have a clear goal of winning the game. This is not the worst one, but the difficulty with it can be that you're too focused on the result, and that could affect your moves. Still, it's good that you have a clear way. You never think about a draw, you don't offer a draw, you don't accept a draw, you just want to win the game or do your best. Even if you lose, you just learn a lot out of it. And if you are not too attached to the result, like yes, you want to win, but you don't feel that much pressure because of it, then it's a very good scenario for you. The second one is you come to make a draw. This is something I never recommend you do because first, it's going to be very difficult psychologically. Imagine you get a very good position, but you're like, okay, what do I do now? I wanted to make a draw and now it seems like I have to win. But to do that, I need to make active moves, but I'm afraid to make active moves because I might lose. And so it's a very difficult state of mind. That is kind of what happened to me in this game. And please never ever do that because you don't really, if you don't have such huge stakes, you don't have anything to lose. In the worst case scenario, you're going to lose the game, but learn so much out of it if you're going to attack, if you're going to try your best to win. That is always much more useful. And there is also a third approach that I really like and I try to use myself these days, but it's of course difficult to shift my perspective. If I achieve that, I think it's a very powerful one. So you're trying to play a game that is worth analyzing. Just think about it. You don't really care that much about the results because it's not like you really can control it, but what you can control is your moves. So you want to make the moves that you would be proud of. You want to play a game that you would like to show your friends. If you have such a mindset, you're not too attached to the result, yet you can still play a great game of chess. So far, I played this tournament perfectly. It's last round, I'm sharing the first place and I'm leading because of a better Pugelt. And I have a beautiful case scenario. I'm playing a fantastic tournament. I haven't made pretty much any big mistakes in the tournament. So both in terms of high quality of the game, I have defeated the first rated player in the tournament. I have a beautiful tournament situation where if I make a draw, I have like a 90% chance to win the tournament because the person that I share the first place with currently has another difficult opponent and he's playing as black. So the chance that he's gonna win in such a stressful situation, because last round is so stressful for everyone, is pretty low. But I'm playing as white and I feel confident in my play, so I'm coming, I'm making that move. And my mistake, my first crucial mistake was that I didn't have that clear goal for the game. I thought like, okay, generally I'm playing as white, I'm gonna try to play well. If not, then I'm gonna maybe offer a draw and hope that my opponent would agree to it. And I'm also gonna look at what happens at the board near me, board number 2. If players would agree to a draw there, then a draw almost guarantees the first place for me, so I'm gonna offer it. Unfortunately, it wasn't that strict in my mind, and throughout the game I always had this doubt whether I should play for win or make a more safe move, and that always was a problem for me. Let me share the game with you. It is a very instructive one on itself. So after knight to f6, I'm playing here knight to c3, And here black has so many different moves. I mean, you have bishop e7, you have bishop e4, you have c5, c6, knight bd7. It all are different openings, different theoretical lines you need to know. It's crazy nowadays in chess. My opponent plays knight e7. For some reason, a lot of players are playing it against me, but I don't mind, as long as I know what to do. Bishop f4, he plays bishop b4, and then I'm just taking on d5. Somebody played that against me before. I know what to do. I take it, and then I play the move e3. Now he does something a little bit unexpected for me. He goes straight to the knight to e4, which indicates I don't want to play a solid game. I don't want to make a draw. I want just to destroy you from the very beginning of the game. I want to create those threats, because not only this knight is perfect on e4, it's attacking the c3 knight, which is pinned here. I play queen to c2 to defend it, but the very next move he plays g5. He attacks my bishop. And it's not a subtle intention, he really wants to win it, because if I play bishop g3, he wants to play h5, and then h4 would just trap the bishop over there. And if I play h3 or h4, trying to create some squares for it, then he's gonna take on g3, completely ruining my pawn structure around my king, and my king is in trouble. So that is something I don't want to get into. But thank God I knew here what I'm supposed to do. I need to play bishop e5 and create a weakness in his camp as well, because if he plays f6, then this entire diagonal, his king, would be weaker. Once he plays h5, I have some tactical opportunities. Instead of that, he exchanges my bishop, and that was already a surprise, whereas my opponent plays all of the moves pretty much instantly. So I know I am playing against the computer, and nobody likes to play against the computer. So on top of that last round stress, on top of that standing stress that, well, I don't want to spoil such a huge tournament for me, and I really want to secure a victory, because in that case, I'm gonna win the biggest prize in my entire chess career. So that feels fantastic, but I need to still play this game normally. And it's so hard, especially when your opponent is creating all of those threats, constantly attacking, and is supported by the power of a very strong machine. He plays here c6. So what I'm thinking, like, okay, I don't know the theory anymore, but I know the key opening principles that are working every single time, no matter what craziness your opponent does, no matter what kind of position you have. Always have to fight for the center, which I'm doing here as much as I can. The second, you want to bring all of your pieces into the game, you want to invite everybody into the party and have no unemployment going on in your camp. And third, you want to make sure that your king is secure, you need to treat it like your child. It's golden principles that absolutely you must follow. So I'm playing here bishop to d3, I'm developing my piece, and in the best case scenario what you can do is create a threat against your opponent. That's exactly what I do here, because I also attack the knight, I would be happy to take it. But my opponent plays f6, still plays pretty fast here. I go knight f3 back, and then he protects the knight with the queen to e7. It does not make a lot of sense to take for me anymore. Instead, I'm castling my king. Yes, the king has to be in a safety zone now, and of course he still wants to attack me, but I think I'm going to be the first one to create in the center. Very good piece of advice for you at this point. If your opponent attacks you on the side, try to answer in the center. If you're going to break through there, then you're going to open up the position, and it's going to be very difficult for your opponent, especially if his king is still in the center, to somehow deal with all of that while still attacking you on the side. So I'm now once again attacking the knight on e4. That is always the best thing that you can do. You can combine making developing moves, because development is the key. I cannot emphasize this enough. You always have to bring all of your pieces into the game, like you need to bring all of the football players into the football pitch before the game starts. So this is exactly what the opening stage for, but at the same time I'm creating a threat. Yet again, this knight on e4 is under attack. That is why my opponent takes with the bishop, which, okay, is a little bit simplifying the stuff for me, because more pieces are going off the board and less stress I have in terms of him attacking me here. And then he plays knight to d6, and I'm thinking, okay, that can never be bad for me. When his piece was in the center, was very active, but now it goes back, that cannot be that dangerous for me. I'm thinking, what is my plan? Because once the opening is over, the moments where so many players fail is this early middle game, when you need to come up with an idea. what do you do? What kind of a plan, a general idea you create for yourself? It's so important to have that, because once you do that, it's much simpler for you to find the right moves. And if you don't have any plan, then you just play aimlessly, and that never ends well, because your moves doesn't really make sense. You cannot play like a computer every time just finding every single best move. It just doesn't work that way. So I play knight d2, and my plan is to attack in the center, because yes, my opponent has a clear intention of attacking here, bishop e6. He wants to finish his development and attack there. So I need to create some counter threat, some counterplay in the center of the board, and stop his attack this way. So some exchanges are happening, but to my surprise, he takes here not with a knight that you might expect. That would be helpful for me because we all have the same situation, but the pawn structure is so much better for me. The king is more secured, so if he just exchanges all of the minor pieces, I'm more than fine. Instead, he plays bishop takes c4. And yes, objectively, I am better in this position, and I was really happy to have this position. But it's difficult for me because it's unbalanced. The knight and bishop, they operate in a different way, and he does not want to make a draw. He wants to play h5, he does it, and he wants to deliver a checkmate. And now I have this difficult situation. So the second key mistake that I want you to avoid making in terms of psychology is to think of other things except for your chess game. The key principle here is just focus on the position and on the position only. Because I was thinking about tournament standings, I was trying to understand what's happening on the neighbor board, whether a draw is likely there, or whether my competitor can win the game and then I have to win my game, and it all affected my mindset, affected my thoughts throughout the game. I was trying to understand whether a draw is okay for me, or I have to risk and play for a win, and then I have a risk of losing. So it's all very, very difficult. Of course, the first step to avoid that is to have that clear mindset. If I want just to win the game, I just don't care about all of that. I'm simply thinking, how do I win in this position? If I want to play a game that I would be proud of, I also don't really have any problems. I also don't think in terms of what my neighbor board is doing. But of course, when you're fighting for the first place, it's so difficult to just get out of all those thoughts. Yet, if you can do that, you have a great, great advantage. But okay, I still feel pretty confident. I play bishop b3 and I want to continue my attack. I have a bishop against the knight, which would be great if the position is opening up. And here I just needed to choose right between the move e4 and d5. Feel free to pause the video for a second if you want to find it out yourself, because the difference is pretty huge. In both cases, I achieve my goal. I create some counterplay in the center. But one move is just much better. The better move is d5. d5 is first of all creating a direct threat. I attack the pawn on c6. And if you take it, then basically you can never make a draw as black. I take it back with the bishop, and the bishop is so great. It works in all sides of the board, both in terms of the attack and in terms of the defense. It does absolutely everything. It's a perfect position. This video is brought to you by Chestnut. Chestnut is making amazing chessboards that allow you to play online from a real 3D board. They have high quality chessboards, nice looking chess pieces, so that you can enjoy and having fun playing it. Chestnut boards also have so many training functions that I absolutely love to use to my training, and it helps me to improve my chess every day. This is, for example, Chestnut Evo. I love to use it for my trainings, but they have so much to offer you depending on your preferences and your budget. And the best part is you can just use the promo code Grandmaster or click the link in the description to get a big discount on all of the Chestnut products. Now, the second problem is you can never castle here. Look at this kid. He has absolutely nowhere to hide, and his attack is, of course, not too fast to create any problems for me, especially with such a beautiful bishop. But otherwise, his pawn is under attack. If he has to play rook to c8, then he is losing the right to castle, and he's never gonna castle again. I actually thought that he's gonna play c5 and sacrifice his pawn in this case, at least to try to shut down the position, make sure that my bishop is not that great, but it's an extra pawn and I can really take it, and it's not a big deal, as it turns out. And I also thought that yes, it's better for me, but I didn't want to take that risk. because in this case my opponent can play h3, I play g3, he plays queen e4, threatening checkmate in one, and yes, I saw that I can play f3 and deal with that, but somehow it felt like I'm taking an unnecessary risk, so I didn't go for it. So what I want to advise you here is not try to make the safest moves, but try to make objectively best moves. If it would be a normal game without this whole stressful situation, then I'm sure I would always play d5, because I feel that's the best move. And that is exactly what I advise you to do. I mean, we are already chess players, we are not boxers, we are not hockey players, we have no risk of getting punched in the face, so we might as well be brave and make the moves we really want to make, so that in the end of the day we play that game that we are going to be proud of. Instead, I play the move e4, and even though it's an active move, he can just castle now. And then after I played rook f to e1, he plays king to b8, and his king is suddenly completely secured now. Like, imagine 2 moves ago it was on e8 in the center of the board, had so many problems. Now on b8, I cannot really easily attack it. I tried, but it's so much more difficult. So d5 would be a much better choice. I played the move a4, I thought, okay, the king is now here, and we have opposite sides castles. That means that whoever is the first one to create a checkmate threat normally wins the game. So I thought I need to be hurry with that, but he is the first one. He's playing h3, and I don't want him to exchange those pawns, because then h2 is going to be in trouble. So I played g3 with an idea to somehow close the position. He plays rook h to f8. Now my play doesn't really get that logical. I played a4, I want to attack here, but now I'm playing rook to d1 because I thought, well, actually I need my rooks here in the center. It's good that I played the a4 to stop that knight from coming to b5. That was quite dangerous for me. Now I control that square, and I can play in the center, prepare the move d5. That's exactly what I did. My opponent played here queen to c7, and I said, wait a second. But now if I play d5, he's gonna play c5, and he's gonna shut down the position, and my bishop is stupid. But I have here the move bishop e6. Suddenly all of his pieces are gone, and I'm attacking this pawn on h3. If I can take it, I have an extra pawn, and I have destroyed his main attacker. I'm not afraid of any attack anymore. Kind of tricked me, because seems like he wanted it to happen. He now plays queen to h7, and maybe he thinks my bishop is going to be vulnerable. And I have prepared here the move d5. I actually thought it's a great move, and that's truth. But after takes, if it would be a normal game, I would definitely make the right move, because I knew what the right move. I would have prepared it. But somehow my opponents took a lot of time to think about the position, and meanwhile I started to double guess myself. And I always encourage you not to do that. Because you start to imagine things, you start to create threats that don't exist. I really wanted to play rook to d5, and that's the best move, and I should have done it. I want to play rook d8 next. I'm the first one to really create that threat in the center. That is exactly what I wanted to do. It's consistent with my plan, everything is perfect. But I started to imagine some weird things, like he's gonna play rook e8, then he's gonna play f5 once I retreat my bishop, and it's going to be somehow dangerous for me. Just not true, and I should have trusted my intuition. Something that you should do much more often as you become a stronger chess player. Trust your intuition more, because sometimes you just cannot calculate it till the end. But if you feel that should be the right move, all of your gut instincts are telling you that, then please trust it. In most of the cases, it's telling you the truth. Of course, you do your best to calculate a little bit, but if you can't calculate it till the end, then just follow your intuition. So I went for bishop takes d5, which is seemingly a safer move, everything is protected, but it's not the approach you should follow. Please always look for objectively the best moves instead of going for safest ones. Because in this case, in most of the cases, it's going to be the best moves, and if not, you're gonna learn so much out of it, and it's going to be a great lesson before you play your next move. But if you are just make those passive moves and try to make sure that you don't take any risk, then you're not gonna become a better chess player. You're not gonna understand more about chess. Of course, in such an important game in terms of the tournament result, it's a little bit different. But otherwise, if you play online, for example, you don't really care that much about the result. You want to learn so much, and you want to play a game that you can show your friends. So please just go all in, be as crazy as possible, try to attack. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You are not playing for a cow. Here it suddenly goes in the wrong direction. My opponent plays rook f to e8, and I'm like, what am I doing here? My only target is b7 pawn, so I should play rook b1. Then he plays rook e5, which is somehow blocking my bishop in terms of the defense. My bishop cannot help my defense anymore. I'm playing here rook to b2, because also the bishop on d5 is hanging suddenly because of the pin, and he starts creating those threads. His position is very solid. He improves his pieces. Queen goes to e7. I play rook b1, but he plays rook c8, and now I feel like I'm starting to lose it. I'm playing queen to d2, which is not the right move. Then he plays rook c7. And here the key moment in the entire game and in the entire tournament. Up to here, I played really a perfect tournament. I mean, this is not a perfect game, but I still have a reasonable position. Everything is great. And what's even more crazy about it, board number 2, they have ended their game in a draw. So all I need at this position is just play a solid move, like play f3, defend that weakness on a4, and offer a draw. Why? Because also I have a tremendous advantage in terms of time. I have 25 minutes, and my opponent has only 3. And I asked him after the game just to be sure that I'm not crazy. He said, of course, I would be happy to take a draw. Because I'm in a time trouble, I don't have any clear way to win the game. I mean, objectively, this position is better for white, not hugely, but still better. And so, like, the best move, the computer move, is queen to d1. But to do that, it's very difficult. You have to realize that queen to d2 was a bad move, you just made it, and how you need to improve the queen's position, it's complicated. But f3 is relatively simple. Your pawn is under attack, you defend it, still you are the one attacking the king, and then the most important thing is to offer a draw. Please remember that in chess, you can offer a draw. Strong players use this feature so often. When they feel that it goes in the wrong direction, that they might get in trouble, they have this kind of feeling that, okay, now it's time to offer a draw. Because it's still not too late, my opponent is still not sure he's gonna get something, but if I'm not sure I can deal with all of the troubles, then it's better for me to offer a draw now and secure that result, and that way you mitigate the risk. And of course, for me it was perfect, because I would just won the tournament. That was my dream, the biggest prize I have ever won in chess. But instead, I'm kind of frozen here. I cannot explain you my mental state at this point, because I have 25 minutes. I spent like 20 out of those trying to calculate some absolutely crazy, absurd variations here. And then, without even reaching a conclusion, I understand that I have only 5 minutes on the clock. I make the move a5, which is a horrible mistake. I don't even know what I was thinking about, but my opponent now takes on a4, and only now I realize, oh my god, I should have just offered a draw. Now it's too late, because my opponent quickly, very quickly, he has no time. He takes the pawn on a4, and he's better now. He has an extra pawn. My variation, I was somehow counting off bishop takes b7, doesn't work. I get a much worse endgame, even though I still should have tried it. But now I don't have any time, I don't have any opportunity to make a draw. I'm so stressful. I need to shift my mindset from being so confident, having such a beautiful position, to now fighting miserably for a draw because my opponent is so much better. And it just collapsed. I completely collapsed in just 2 moves. I have lost this game. So I took the knight on a4 because it felt to be so dangerous. He took it back. And then I played a6, which is good. He played b6. And now I'm losing in just 1 move. Like, if it would be a normal chess game, I would have never done it. Even here, I would somehow took myself together and try to understand what's going on, how I can put more pressure on him, maybe create a few threats. But I'm playing rook to d1 and blunder, just checkmate in 2 moves. It's so crazy. It's a beginner's mistake, basically. Checks, captures, and threads. I absolutely must have checked it, but I decided, okay, I'm already in time trouble, so let me make a reasonable move fast. And that's like controlling the open file, what could be wrong with that. But he, of course, just plays rook d7. He played it very, very quickly, very confidently. I mean, once he moved that rook, I understood I'm losing. I didn't know still why, but from his expression, his face expression, his emotions, and the way he did it, he was just relaxed, like he understood he's winning the game. And I still haven't seen why it's actually losing, but I knew it's over. And then a second later, I realized it's just a checkmate. He sacrifices the rook, but if I take it, he has rook to e1, and that's immediately checkmate. If I go away with my queen, then he simply trades the rook and gives checkmate anyway. This was so painful for me. Inside of 10 minutes, I went from being like on top of the world in terms of my feel and I was so happy about my game to being absolutely miserable. I wanted just to disappear there from the tournament hall immediately and never come back. But I couldn't do that because I should go for closing ceremony. I'm still in the prizes, and even a little bit it was kind of small happy end because my teammate, talented young girl, she made a draw against my competitor who was the top rated guy in the tournament, and that means that I am the third one now. And the third place is still much better than the first one, obviously. I still get a very decent prize, so overall tournament is not that bad. But when you lose the last round and when you know you was like 1 centimeter away from the first prize, it's so difficult to deal with that. Of course, life goes on and I have managed to cope with it. I have taken a break from chess. That is, by the way, helping a lot when you have a losing streak. You just take a complete break, you relax, and then you get the desire to play chess again. And the very next weekend, I had another tournament coming, which thank God was more successful for me. And of course, I would be happy to share it with you. I appreciate so much that you are watching up to this point. I understand that this video is gonna get fewer views, but I just felt I need to share this story with you because, well, it's part of my journey to Grandmaster. You can never become a winner, become a champion without those painful losses. It's simply a part of the process that you cannot avoid. Now, if you want to dramatically improve your chess and join the top 1% of all of the chess players, then in this video I have prepared for you a proven system how to do that from the very first move up to the final checkmate.